What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Jake Light, your absolute favorite investor. And in this video today, we're going to go over the universal formula that I've used for over 900 different properties that I purchased. Sometimes I've flipped them, sometimes I'm wholesaling them, sometimes I've wholetailed them. Sometimes I keep them myself as a buy and hold for that mailbox money, baby. But regardless of what my exit strategy is, I do it every single time. I never deviate from this. And because of that, I've done a lot more flips than most people that I've met throughout my real estate investing career. So the first thing that anytime there's a property that comes across our desk, the very first thing that we look at, it's not the current condition of the home, it's not the asking price, it's not what the agent says in their remarks. The number one most important thing is what we can resell the house for in the future. That's called an after repair value. And we always calculate that before we do anything else with the property. Where my mind and my calculator or my computer, where it immediately goes, is trying to see if there's a trend of the same size, the same year built, the same characteristic property. If there's a trend in the neighborhood where similar properties have recently sold over the last 6 months. So if I'm looking at a house that's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, built in 1970 and about 1,500 square feet, I want to compare apples to apples. If I can't do that, then I'm not pursuing the deal. We begin with the end in mind, and then we work our happy little selves backwards. If I can't have a predictable exit strategy with a predictable value, a future value of the home, I bounce and go on to the next one. This is rule number 1 when it comes to real estate investing. But if I can, let's say, for example, I'm looking at 123 Main Street and I find 4 or 5 houses that have sold over the last 3 months. Usually, if you see something like that, they're all selling for right around the same price point. So an example would be, let's say, property number 1 or comparable. We call these comps. Comparable number 1 sold for $295. Comparable number 2 is sold for $305. Comparable number 3 went for $297. Comparable number 4 went for $302. And comparable number 5 went for $300. And all this happened over the last 6 months. And I know that my ARV, or after repair value, is about $300,000. And this is where I put it in the universal formula. It'll go right here, $300,000 or 300. We're putting numbers in the thousands here. 300K. It's my anchor, right? This is me beginning with the end in mind. And now to determine if it's a deal I want to look at, regardless of what condition it is, regardless if it does have a grease stain or someone fell through the crawl space, regardless of all of these other details, if I have this, I can work backwards, and the numbers that we're going to get to here are going to determine whether it's a good deal or not. Now, if I want to sell this property, if I want to opt to flip it and make a boatload of cash, and I can sell it with a real estate agent, and they can put it on what's called the MLS, or the multiple listing service. And that's, what you also see on Zillow and Redfin, where it has all the nicest pictures from the nicest angles. It's got filters on it. And it has a really nice description that makes you want to get inside and see what it's all about. If I have a resale value or an after repair value of $300,000, then I'm probably going to have a real estate agent out there marketing it. Meaning they're doing the open houses, they're taking all the calls from all the buyers that are hitting them up at 6 a.m., they're hitting them up at 10 p.m. When you sell a house in the open market, the seller, which would be me in this case, in the future, I'm paying them a commission, and I'm typically also paying the buyer's commission, the buyer that we end up accepting an offer from. And there's a few different laws that seem to be changing with that, but for the time being, the seller pays commissions. Now, if at the end of the day, everything goes through, the money gets to me, we transfer ownership from my LLC to the new home buyer, they're going to take the cream off the top, they're going to put it in their pockets before I get my money back. Okay? Typically, it's around 5% or 6%, and it's split in 2. So if I sell it for $300, right off the top, $15,000 comes off. That's 5% of $300,000. Now, in addition to that, some of the little hidden costs when it comes to real estate investing, we have closing costs. There's usually a title company or closing attorney or closing agent or escrow company. They're called different things, but their job is to make sure that the deal is handled and it's legit. They typically actually put an insurance policy on the transaction, and they handle all of that legal stuff that I have zero interest or idea how to do. They're going to take the money from the buyer or from their bank with their loan, and they're going to transfer it over to me and transfer it over to the agents. They're going to take ownership of the house from my entity, my LLC or my corporation, and they're going to transfer ownership of the house to the buyer. And they're going to do all those little things, making sure property taxes are good, making sure there's no liens on the property. That's typically between 1 and 2% of the transaction amount. And that also only comes off the top if the deal closes. Okay.